What if the path to healing from trauma isn't about feeling more but feeling less For years, we've been told to process and confront our pain, to dive deep into the hurt. But there's a surprising truth about emotional detachment that can unlock incredible freedom. What if I told you there is a radical perspective that could change everything you thought you knew about recovery? Stay with me, because we're about to explore it. I spent years trapped in the shadow of my past, believing I had to constantly relive my trauma to heal. I thought that was the only way. Every therapy session, every self-help book, it felt like I was just reopening old wounds, keeping myself stuck. But then I discovered something truly unexpected. The power of emotional detachment. Now, this isn't about ignoring your pain or pretending it didn't happen. It's about creating space, finding a surprising liberation that allows you to finally move forward and build a life beyond your past. It was a revelation that completely changed my life. Let's talk about the illusion of control. There's this common misconception that to heal from trauma, you have to wrestle with it, reliving every painful detail until it submits. We're told to face our demons, but what if that approach is like trying to put out a fire with gasoline? Constantly re-engaging with traumatic memories can actually strengthen their hold on us. It keeps the same neural pathways firing, locking us in a cycle of fight or flight. Think about it. If you keep touching a hot stove to remind yourself it's hot, you're just going to keep getting burned. Much of the traditional advice, while well-intentioned, can unintentionally prolong our suffering by keeping us tethered to the very pain we were trying to escape. So, how do we break free? This is where we reclaim our emotional space. I want to introduce you to the concept of healthy detachment. This is not suppression. It's not about bottling things up or becoming an emotionless robot. It's about gaining perspective. It's the difference between being caught in a raging storm and watching that storm from a safe, sturdy lighthouse. You acknowledge the storm is there. You see its power, but you are not being swept away by it. A practical technique to start with is what I call the observer self. When a difficult memory or emotion surfaces, instead of diving into it, take a step back mentally. Say to yourself, I am noticing the feeling of sadness, or I am observing a memory. This simple shift in language creates a tiny gap between you and the emotion. You are no longer I am sad. You are the person noticing sadness. This isn't denial. It's mindful observation. The immediate relief and clarity that can come from this is profound. You start to realize that you are not your trauma. You are the one who experienced it, and you are the one who is now observing it. This is the first step toward taking your power back. Let's get into the power of observation a bit more, because there's real science behind this. When we observe our thoughts and feelings neutrally, without judgment, we activate different parts of our brain. Instead of engaging the amygdala, our brain's alarm system, we start using our prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for logic, reason, and perspective. This shift from reacting to observing literally rewires our brain's response to traumatic triggers. I remember working with someone who was haunted by flashbacks. By practicing this observer technique, they started describing the flashbacks as watching an old movie. The emotional charge began to fade. The movie was still there, but it no longer had the power to hijack their present moment. This detachment doesn't erase the past, but it integrates it in a new way, transforming it from a raw, open wound into a scar that tells a story of survival, not of perpetual pain. This newfound emotional freedom is where the real magic happens. This is where you start building a future beyond your trauma. For so long, your life might have been defined by your past reacting to triggers, avoiding situations, and making choices based on fear. But when you create that emotional space, you're no longer just reacting. You can start being proactive. You get to ask yourself, for the first time in a long time, what do I actually want? Who do I want to be now that I'm not defined by what happened to me? This is where you move from a survivor identity to a thriver identity. You start using that energy, which was once spent managing pain, to build new goals, nurture new relationships, and explore new passions. You cultivate a sense of agency, a belief in your own ability to shape your life that was previously inaccessible. You're not just healing from the past, you're actively creating your future. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Is this just a fancy way of avoiding my feelings, or will I become numb and disconnected? These are valid concerns. The answer is no. Healthy detachment isn't about avoiding feelings. It's about choosing how and when you engage with them. It gives you control. You're no longer at the mercy of sudden emotional floods. Instead, you can create a safe container to process your feelings in a way that is constructive, not destructive. You won't become numb. In fact, you will likely start to experience a wider range of positive emotions because you're not constantly being weighed down by the negative ones. The long-term benefits are immense. Improved relationships because you're more present, better mental well-being, and a genuine, deep satisfaction with life. Embracing this paradigm shift is not a one-time fix. It's a continuous journey of self-liberation. It's about consistently choosing perspective over panic, observation over overwhelm. It's about giving yourself the grace to be a work in progress. This path isn't about forgetting what happened. It's about refusing to let it be the only chapter in your story. You are the author of your life, and you get to decide what comes next. Thank you so much for joining me on this exploration today. If this resonated with you, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more content on healing and personal growth. Your journey matters, and you are not alone.